In your thoughts on Donald Trump and what it means for what it means for mass incarceration?
You know what? This is a labor of love for Jay, and as a result, he's my friend. We're here to talk about that.
But these pedophiles had resources. They bought an island, and they took children there.
I've seen what they do. The ritualistic behaviors, the putting girls in suitcases.
Jay-Z reportedly leaves U.S. as Epstein files spark questions. Hey, he probably went to the same place Russell Simmons is in Bali. But I know Jay-Z owns his own island too.
DL Hughley is once again one of the few celebrities willing to say things out loud that most people won't touch. While people like Jaguar Wright and Kanye were quickly dismissed as crazy when they tried to warn people about Jay-Z, DL is basically saying maybe folks should have listened. Because now that Jay-Z's name has surfaced in the Epstein files alongside his former friend Harvey Weinstein, those old comments are being looked at very differently. And suddenly, Jaguar and Kanye don't sound so crazy anymore. What really stands out is that while most celebrities are staying completely silent about anything Epstein related, DL is doing the opposite. He's openly calling for everyone named in those files to be investigated, no exceptions. He also shared a message highlighting how backwards the priorities look, pointing out that more people have been arrested for disrupting a church service than for the kinds of crimes tied to Epstein. But DL didn't stop there. He also resurfaced old footage showing a young woman who is visibly shaken and traumatized after describing something she says she witnessed at an elite party. The woman is Mexican model Gabriela Rico Jimenez, who went viral back in 2009 after claiming she saw something deeply disturbing at a high-profile party in Monterey that was allegedly connected to powerful elites in Epstein's network. At the time, Gabriela's allegations were quickly dismissed, and the story was swept under the rug. But with everything that's come out since, DL sharing that footage is clearly meant to raise questions about how deep this Epstein rabbit hole really goes. But here's where it gets even darker. Shortly after this video went viral, Gabriela was arrested, and no one has seen her since. And now, with all these prominent names popping up in the files, DL is calling out the hypocrisy in Hollywood and the music industry. And his issue isn't just who's named, it's the silence and the double standard. He's saying people are suddenly quiet because their favorite celebrity might be implicated, and that selective outrage says a lot about how the industry really works. By the way, this isn't the first time DL has gone against the grain and said something uncomfortable. When Jay-Z was mentioned in that lawsuit filed by one of Diddy's accusers, Jay-Z quickly released this long statement denying any wrongdoing and talking about his moral code and how he's always been about protecting children. And a lot of people accepted that response and said it sounded sincere. But DL wasn't convinced. He reminded everyone that Diddy also denied any wrongdoing with Cassie until that hotel footage surfaced.
I think Jay-Z's tone was exactly, but see, I saw Puffy say the same shit, and then a video came out.
Yeah.
Alright, now let's talk about what's being said about Jay-Z. Because with his name popping up in those files, some reports online are claiming he's already packed his bags and left the country. Hoops Crave account on X claimed that Jay-Z has reportedly left the US for an undisclosed destination. And then Tasha K jumped in and pointed out that Jay-Z and Beyoncé recently purchased a home in the UK, which made people immediately start side-eyeing the timing. Tasha wrote, Jay-Z is named in the Diddy files, Epstein files, and Weinstein files, but somehow he is the only one innocent. Guess that's why he's building a home in the UK, just like Russell Simmons built one in Bali. And Tasha isn't making this up. Jay-Z and Beyoncé really are making moves in the UK. Back in December, multiple British outlets reported that the Carters were planning to build a mansion in the Cotswolds, and they were in the final stages of purchasing 58 acres of land. Now sure, maybe it's all just a coincidence, but the timing does make people pause, and that's why folks are digging deeper into how Jay-Z's name even ended up in those files. So according to the documents released by the DOJ, Jay-Z's name appears in connection to an anonymous tip made to the FBI. The caller was a woman who claimed that back in 1996, she woke up inside Epstein's Florida mansion and said Harvey Weinstein and Jay-Z were in the room. Now, a lot of fans were quick to dismiss this, saying there's no way Jay-Z was already moving in elite circles back in the 90s. But that argument kind of ignores the bigger picture. Sure, Jay wasn't the billionaire mogul we know today, but he also wasn't some nobody. Jay was already connected connected, already around money, nightlife, and influential people. And before music fully took off, he was involved in other business that those industry executives would find very useful. And remember that Diddy himself was recruited by powerful executives like Clive Davis. So the idea that Jay couldn't have crossed paths with Hollywood figures back then isn't as far-fetched as some want to believe. And another thing people want to ignore is just how close Jay-Z and Weinstein were years later. There's a clip that recently resurfaced where Weinstein literally steps in during an interview, cutting things off after a reporter asked Jay about Trump.
In your thoughts on Donald Trump and what it means for mass incarceration?
You know what? This is a labor of love for Jay, and as a result, he's my friend. We're here to talk about that and nothing else.
Well, then can I ask you about mass incarceration? And do you think the movement is okay?
The whole thing was very strange because Jay looked like a deer in the headlights, like he was scared to say the wrong thing. And then Weinstein stepped in, almost like his handler. But that's not all. Now, this doesn't prove what happened in 1996, but it does show that Jay already had access to high-level industry spaces around that time. So now people are also side-eyeing the pattern. Jay-Z was publicly close for years with R. Kelly, Diddy, and Harvey Weinstein, all convicted offenders. So are we really supposed to believe Jay had no idea what any of them were doing behind the scenes? That it's all just a coincidence that so many men in his inner circle later turned out to be predators? Now, when it comes to Weinstein's connection to Epstein, that part isn't really up for debate. Their relationship was well documented. They knew each other for years before either one of them was publicly exposed, and they were moving in the same social circles long before the scandals came out. Epstein and Weinstein were photographed together at multiple high society events, including that infamous royal party for Princess Beatrice's birthday at Windsor. And it didn't stop at social events either. There was also a real business connection. Back in 2003, Epstein and Weinstein were both part of a small investment group that tried to buy New York Magazine. The deal ultimately fell through, but the point is, they were actively working together on a serious business move, which means their connection went beyond casual socializing. And then, on top of that, Epstein apparently used his connection to Weinstein to try to impress young women. And he even made Weinstein put one of his victims in a horror movie produced by Weinstein's company. According to a report by the Daily Beast, Epstein counted Weinstein as a close friend and would often invite him to his Paris apartment. New York publicist R. Corey Hay told the Daily Beast, "It wouldn't surprise me if Weinstein and Epstein felt a kinship through their immoral character traits, and that they had some immediate symbiotic relationship because of their evil ways." So if Epstein and Weinstein bonded because of their evil ways, where does Jay-Z fit into all of this? Epstein and Weinstein were clearly close, so it makes people look twice at Jay's proximity. We've already seen that clip where Weinstein steps in like Jay's handler during an interview, and that happened around the same period when Weinstein was also traveling and socializing with Epstein. And because those timelines overlap, people are now connecting dots. Also, let's not forget that in 2016, Jay-Z signed a film and TV first look deal with the Weinstein Company, which led to several projects being planned together. And this was just months before the allegations against Weinstein went public. The Me Too movement that exploded in 2017 came after those stories, but industry whispers and rumors about Weinstein's behavior had been circulating for years. So again, it's the same pattern we saw with R. Kelly and Diddy. Jay-Z spent years in close proximity to men who later faced serious convictions, and yet somehow the narrative is that he had no idea what they were involved in. Now, to be clear, this isn't about making claims or accusations, but it does make you pause and wonder why Jay repeatedly had men like this in his inner circle. Of course, plausibility is not proof, and there is no verified evidence that Jay-Z ever visited Epstein's mansion. But here's where public perception comes in. When the same types of allegations keep circling the same person, people are naturally going to start asking questions. And if you look at the reaction online, a lot of folks aren't buying the idea that this is all a coincidence. One user on X went viral with this post,